In this video, we're going to take a look at Natch's pilgrimage. So in order to log into your site, what you'll usually do is go to your URL /wp-admin, and that's where you will put in your username, your username and password combination that we've given you. So I have already logged in, and once you log in, it'll come to this dashboard right here, and I'm going to go down the list of these things over here on the left in this black column and talk about the things that are a part of your site. Some of these we're not really using, and so I'll tell you which ones and as I skip over them. So under updates, we have where all of these plugins that we are using can be updated, so that you can select them and update them. We regularly go through and do that for all of our sites, so if you never ever want to worry about that ever, you can just forget about it and you don't need to worry about it. Under posts, this is where we would create blog posts if you ever want to start using the blog post feature on this site. Basically, that would work by clicking add new, and then we would give the post a title, and then down here we could start typing. You'll see there's two tabs for visual and text, and the text editor side will show you the CSS, the code parts. So you'll want to do all your editing most likely from this side. And you can change the size of the wording. You can bold, italicize, bullet. You can hyperlink by typing in a URL. All of those kind of things. And it basically works like any sort of word processing system would work along those lines. And you can add a picture within your post by clicking add media and then selecting a picture. I can align it. I can edit the size of it. If I want to edit the size of it, I can replace it with a different photo, and then you would click publish or update if you had already published it, or I can click preview and it'll show me what it will look like on the front end there. So, like I said, you're not really using posts for anything right now, but all of the internal parts of the site use a similar interface where you've got these different options here. So where you can insert a form, where you can insert all these different, you can, like I said, bold, italicize things, whatever. So it all kind of looks like this. It's just within these different sections. So under Accordion Pro, we are not currently using that. So we'll skip over that for now. If you have more questions about that, you can let us know, but we're not currently using that plugin. Under media, this is your media library where all of your photos are housed. It looks like we process these photos to make them be compressed and not take up so much space on the server that the site runs slowly, and so it looks like we've got a couple errors on some of these photos that we uploaded, so we'll take care of that. But basically, this is where all of your media is housed. This is where any of your photos or PDFs or things that are on the site like that are located. So anytime that you need to add something within a page or a post, there will be that add media button, so you don't ever really necessarily need to come to the media library, but that's what that is, and this is where it's located. So moving on to forms. Under forms, we have a couple different ones, and these are pretty intuitive and easy to understand. As you can see, you have a field here with a label for it, and you have a required field marked. So if I want to add another field, what I would do is come over here and I can either drag it into the place where I want to put it, or if I just were to click it, it'll show up at the very bottom. And then if I want to delete it, I can delete it. If I want to duplicate it, I can use this button here. That will duplicate the field. I can change the label to say whatever I want, and I can make it required if I would like, and I can delete it just like that, and click update if I make any changes. So your fields are all located over here, as you can see. Under settings, and also you can click this preview button and it will take you like it did for the blog posts. It looks a little different than it will on this site because it doesn't load any of the custom CSS that we have to make it look like your website, but it will give you kind of the idea of where the fields sit and just kind of how they look. So you can click that preview button. You can click entries here and see the entries that people have made. So I can click it and then read those entries here. If I want to look at other settings, would be the notifications. So looks like Tickets at Natchez Pilgrimage is receiving all of these form submissions. So if I ever want to change the email that this is going to, I can just change it right here. I can change the name, and then the send to email would need to change, and that's it. Scroll down and click update. So then let's go back to the settings section. That's not what I want. I want to go to notifications, and if I want to create a second notification, I can just click duplicate and then go in there and change the email there if I want both emails if I want several emails to receive this notification. Or you can just separate them by a comma. That should also work. And that's where you can change that out. And it works the same for both of those forms. So on this mailing list, works the same there. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else you need to change there. If you want to change the confirmation message that people see when they submit a form, you can do that right here. And again, you have all those same options like you did within a post, or as you'll see within a page is the same, and then click save. So let's move to pages. Let's look at the home page, and we'll start there and kind of look at those. So basically you can see how the home page is split up into sections and how it has these clear and concise sections. Fall tours, spring pilgrimage, these different parts of the site. So if you will look, we need to get rid of this little section here because it's not being used for anything. If you look, the page has a title, and if we want to have the page title show up as a header, we want, or rather, are we hiding the header title? This is checked yes, because this page is the home page and we don't need it to say home anywhere. So we'll scroll down, and then you've got these page sections here. And they can expand or collapse in this way. And you can add new rows or remove rows using these buttons. So for this first part, we have a slider, which shows up here at the very top. This is added through shortcode, and I'll show you a little bit how to update those sliders here in just a moment as we get further down. So there's nothing you really need to worry about here other than you can see there's a background section, which we don't really do anything with because we don't need anything. And then on the spacing, we don't want any padding because we just want this to take up that whole section. And under advanced, don't have anything that we need to look at there either. So then under experience Natchez, this is our next section right here. So we've got this set up as heading 1, that size. It's all centered. This is set up as heading 2, and then we have this photo. If you click edit, it is going to link to a custom URL, and then that's where it links to that Shopify page with the book. That's how we've added that. So if I needed to change out that link, I would just click update here, and then I would need to click update over here for the whole page. Anytime I make any changes within this page, I want to make sure I go over there and click update. So moving on to the next little section, we have this fall tours and spring pilgrimage page. So this fall pilgrimage page, you see we've got the words here. It's hyperlinked to your appropriate page, and then under format, it's formatted as a button. So we also have some stuff going on in the background. So we have an image, and looks like we don't have a color overlay or anything like that. And then under spacing, we do want padding on this section, and then we've got it set as a 50% width and a 500 pixel height. And so then we've also got the entire section linked to that page. So anywhere you click in this section, it's going to take you to the right place. So then you'll look and see that the spring pilgrimage section right underneath it is formatted in just the same way. So it is a button, it is hyperlinked, the background has a photo, no color overlay over the top, and we've got padding checked yes, 50% and a 500 pixel height. So those are just exactly the same. So then we'll scroll down to these sections, and we've got, this is one full width section. So you'll see it's a full width section, and there's nothing in the background, it's just white. But this one is split up using column shortcode. So that's done using this button here, and depending on where your cursor falls, you can split up your text into 1/2, 1/3, 1/4 sections so that it appears like this. And this is where you can update any of this text or any of these dates. And like I said, it all works in much the same way. And then these items are again formatted as a button. And in the next section, we've got upcoming events and performances. So you shouldn't need to change out anything here. What we've got when it says pods, that's these items over here with the thumbtacks, these pods we've created. So this should just be pulling up your upcoming performances, and you shouldn't need to change out anything here to make that happen. It's just going to change out as we update these sections. So moving on to this section, plan your visit. Again, we've got the shortcodes set up so that it works and is in 1/2 sections, and we have these formatted as buttons. And also white text. So if you want to select anything and make it white text, you just would click that button. And there is a photo in the background, and we do have a bit of a color overlay, and so you can drag this wherever you'd like, and then you can make it more or less transparent or opaque. And again, this is a full width section, and we don't want to link the entire section because it's going to 2 different places. So, and so on and so forth. You'll see that that's how these other sections are created as well. Got the places to stay section with a button that's hyperlinked. It's half width section, and then we've just adjusted the height of that section, and we didn't link the entire section just because it doesn't need to be, just since we have that button. Then our final section here, places to stay with your button and your background image. And you'll want to make sure that any 2 sections that are next to each other have that same height. And looks like we've also got a full width section here using shortcode to add this map here. And then these other items will be found in a different part of the site. So that's your homepage. And that's basically how that stuff works. Remember to always click update if you make any changes to that. Comments we have disabled. So if you do create a blog at any point, then you don't have to have, there wouldn't be the ability to have comments or spam or anything like that. I'm not sure if we're using Foo Gallery. Just for this news page, I believe, we were given some photos to add to this page. And so I added I believe we added these images to a gallery so that they can be put on the news page at some point. So we're not really using this plugin too much. I don't know that there's much you need to worry about there. So let's move to accommodations. These are those pods I was talking about. And so you'll see if you click on these are pretty intuitive, like I said. About some of the other things, I think they'll make pretty good sense when you get in here and look at them. Because you've got your title, you've got information. Again, it looks just like all the other things I've showed you where you can edit them in the same way, much the same way. We've got the address section, and we've got these items hyperlinked appropriately. And if we want to add images to a gallery, you could add them through here. And then set the featured image through here. So I can remove it or I can replace it with a different one and click set featured image. And again, come up here and click update. Shouldn't need to worry about anything under this formatting because this is all set up to look good and nice and clean. I don't think there's anything you'd need to worry about. But if you need to make text edits to these items, that's where they are located, and they all look exactly like this. So that's accommodations. Dining locations is going to look very similar. Click on it. You've got the name here, and then we've got some information about it here and a featured image here. So all that stuff kind of works similarly. The text is above this section here, though. Again, don't need to worry about this stuff. This is where you would make those text edits or add whatever you might need and click update. Under events, again, you've got this list here. The name goes here. You have this section that is all set up and looks good for you. Then you want to make sure you've got the event title listed appropriately here. You've got your information here. We have an order now button that's hyperlinked, formatted as a button. And if you wanted to add more description here, and you've got your featured image. So again, if we want to look at events, we can also see that some of these are drafts. So instead of deleting them in case they come up next year and we just want to use the same information, these are just located as drafts. So I can, under quick edit, I can publish it or save it as a draft, and then that way it doesn't get totally deleted. But if I do need to delete it, I can just click trash, and it should show up into a trash folder here where it can still be found or permanently deleted. They are also categorized, so these sections, looks like we're not using this short description section, so your full description will go here, and then under categories you'll want to click current events and performances, depending on where they need to go within the site. Underneath houses and tours, we are working on getting these set up to be in the same spot. So I believe there was some confusion when we first started making this site, so that we weren't sure where they were going. But what we're going to do is combine these, and so we are not really going to look at houses because tours is what we're using right now. So all of these should be set up very similarly, and they look just so much like those other things that I showed you. So again, text edits will go here. We can ignore this section. Be sure we scroll down to the name of the tour. We've got some tour info here, the time, the gallery, so I can drag these to rearrange the order that these gallery photos are in, or I can add an additional photo or however many I want. Then we've got the address and then this ticket link, so then you would paste in that Shopify URL there, and then again the featured image is over here. Now in order for these to show up in the right place, we just need to make sure that they're categorized correctly. So that's why these have these different categories, because some are museum houses, some are spring tours, some are year-round tours, and so they'll pull up on those different pages. So they'll pull up on, we need to be able to set it so that they can pull up on the spring tours and on the year-round tours. So it needs to be categorized as such. So if we create, let's say, we are going to need to create a new section for fall tours next year, then we can create a new category and say, so we've got this fall tours button. I can add a new category and call it fall 2019, and then I can give it a parent category if I need, and then we can use that in the short code that sets up that page, which I'll show you in just a moment when I'm going to go back to the pages section. But this is where you make those text edits and where you can update those images. And then again, click update over here. So let's go back to pages just for a moment, and I can show you, let's look at the spring pilgrimage page, for example. So on this page, we have this page title content here, and so that's where you see what shows up right here. So again, if that needs to be edited, super easy to edit that text right there. And whatever is set as this page section title doesn't show up anywhere. So that's just so you know which section is which. And you can see that this is the featured image that's set in that top section. Then as you go down, you can see the short code for those columns is coming into play here so that we can set them up into their 1/4 columns. But those will determine just where those sections are. But if you need to replace any of these items, you can click that edit button and replace them, or change any of these dates out and just leave all of this as is. And if you just need to make edits to any of that stuff, then you can do that. So then, like I was saying, these tours are set up through those short codes for the pods. And so we add them through pods short code right here. So wherever your cursor is, if you need to add, you can display list multiple pod items, and then I can choose which one. And then there should be also a template for whatever we're using. So so if I want to do tours, and then I would say spring tours, it's going to, I would say insert, and it's going to insert that short code just like this. So again, that can kind of get a little confusing, so you don't really need to worry about that. I think mainly what you are wanting to know how to do is kind of edit some of this text. And so that's where that's located, and you can see we're pulling just the pink tours in this section, and then as you go down, just the orange tours in this section. So that's how we get them to pull up in the right sections with the right colors there. But again, this actual text is edited through those pods right here. Let me double check and make sure that there's not anything else within pages that you might need to know. I think you've kind of got the idea as far as those sections, those page sections you need to know, and then all of these different items are displayed through shortcode. So if you need to edit any of this stuff, it's going to be underneath its appropriate pod here, and not necessarily within pages. So you'll see Christmas, and then you can see we've got this just labeled shortcode, Christmas tour, template tours. So, okay, well, I thought I was going to be able to edit these tours through here. Well, now you know I want to go to tours over here and edit it through here. And then I can say, well, I just want to look at the Christmas tours. So I'll filter those, and there's all the ones I need to edit right there. And so you can filter them in such a way to find what you're looking for. And that's what you need to know about those sections. I don't think we need to talk about anything here. That's just the theme that's used to build your site. Appearance, there's two things we want to talk about here, widgets and menus. Under widgets, I'm going to go ahead and open up menus there. Under widgets, this is where we've got stuff for your header and your footer. So if you'll look at your header, you have your logo, which links to the appropriate place, which is the home page. You've got a navigation menu, which I will show you how to edit through menus. And we're not using these sidebars anywhere, I don't believe. But before header, that's where you have a second navigation menu, which is these items here. So actually, it looks like we're not using that. So what we're actually talking about is this click here to purchase tickets right here. Or I guess we are using social media, excuse me. Looks like we've got your these Facebook and I'm not sure what that is. TripAdvisor. Okay, so that's where you have your Facebook and TripAdvisor menu, which is edited through menus, which I will show you in just a minute. And then this is where we've got that button to purchase tickets. And so we've got that formatted nicely for you. If you need to change the link, that's where you could change it. And then you'd need to come down here and click save. If these need to be moved anywhere, they can be dragged into different places, but I don't think that you'll really want to mess with this too much because it will affect the layout of this site. In the footer, if you need to change the phone number or the email over there, you can see that's where and again, that save button is in the bottom right. And yeah, so we've got that coded to look nice, but if you need to update the hyperlink, you can do that. That should be everything. We've got also have that form set up. So there's probably not a whole lot you want to change or will need to change within widgets, but I just wanted to show you where that stuff was. If you need to change anything through the social media menu, like the link, so you can, these kind of expand and collapse, you can paste a new Facebook link here if you changed your Facebook page. You can paste the new TripAdvisor link here, and if you need to change out the phone number, you can do that here, and then click save up in this corner. If you need to add an additional social media menu item, it's going to get a little tight up there, so just let us know and we can help you get that going. I wouldn't suggest doing that on your own. And then if I want to switch over to the main menu, I'm going to look at this and see you've got all these different pages here, and these basically can just be dragged as you need them to go wherever they want. So if you need to add, let's say we've created a new page and it shows up here under most recent, or I can view all or search. Then I add it to the menu. It's going to show up at the bottom, and then I'm going to move it. I can make it a sub menu item of anything. I can change what it's called, or I can remove it and then click the save changes. And if I need to create just a custom link, so let's say I want to link to an outside site, or I can't find the page I'm looking for, or you need to link to your Shopify, you would just paste it here, and then the link text is whatever will show up in the menu. And we've got the menu set up nicely for you with 3 items on either side of this image. So if you need to add an additional item, we may want to just talk about making it a sub menu item somewhere so that it doesn't get too cramped up here. But this is where you can make those changes, and they are draggable, and I can change the label here and then click save menu. Plugins, what we talked about earlier, you can add different plugins to the site to do different things. If you have questions about that, you can let me know. Under users, this is where you can create a new user, or you can edit and change your password. So I can generate a new password here and then scroll all the way to the bottom and click update. And I can change my access from admin access to just subscriber or something like that. But really, you'll only need to create users if you're wanting someone to have admin access to the site. And to create a new user, you'll just have to get a username, an email is required, and then you can copy and paste the password here. And then set it as admin and click add new user. These items coming down here are a lot of things that are just here but don't need to be talked about. So tools, settings, custom fields, nothing is done within those that you will need to look at. SEO, we have a SEO plugin that helps us be able to optimize the internal pages and the homepage of the site, but there's nothing that you need to look at there. Food box has to do with food gallery, which we're not currently using. Facebook feed, there's nothing you need to set up here. I don't think you have a Facebook feed set up anywhere. The next thing we want to look at is slider revolution. I want to make sure I didn't accidentally add anything to the homepage. Nope. Okay. Under slider revolution, you've got some different images that show up here and with some text. And so I just double click on that text and then I can edit it here. And once I'm done, I would just click this green check mark and then click save right here. If I would need to change the size of the font, I need to make sure that this size matches this size. The line height can be larger than the font size, but you don't ever want it to be smaller because it's talking about these lines here. And if it's too small, it will show up and look funky. So if I make any changes here, I want to go through each screen size and make sure that my text fits within so that it becomes responsive and looks good. And I can preview my slides here once I make changes to see if they look okay. My personal internet is going kind of slow today, so your site should be loading fine everywhere. It's just kind of a my end thing. So if you need to create a new slide, what I would do is I would just duplicate the current slide that you're on, come in here to this new slide, make sure you've selected it, and then you can make it invisible for the time that you're editing it. And then if I want to change out the background image, I don't know if you saw that main background image here and click the media library, and I can select whatever I want and select insert. And I can change that text out however I would like. And that's basically all you've got to do there. Under Ken Burns, you can change the location, like how this is positioned, as you can see. And then you can make any changes and then preview those changes. There we go. So, and if you want to delete it, I can delete it from there as well. And so then each slide should have some sort of wording over it, and this is where it can be edited. And then under slider settings, if you want to add this slider anywhere, you can get the short code for it right here. And so then the accommodations one should work much the same way. But there's fewer images. So it looks like on this one we might have a static layer. Right. So there's your text right there if you ever want to change it out. It's this static layer that applies to all the slides. And it can be changed out by doing the same thing, double clicking it. And you can show the layers on the slide so that way you can see what it looks like instead of just seeing it over this white background. So it's not loading, but it should let you see it over the appropriate slides. But that's where you would change out any of those images if you'd like to. And like I said, you can just use that duplicate button, and then you don't have to worry about any of the timing of the way that stuff slides in there. And if you want to learn how to do more of that, we can show you how to do more. But just kind of touching on how to do most of those things.